what's up my friends? Welcome back to another episode of Warriors Amongst Men, Spirit Amongst Flesh. As always, my name is Sam and I'm here to help you liberate from your flesh, define your purpose and live the life that you came here to live as a spiritual being having a human experience. You're a spiritual being, but you're a human. You're a human, but you're also a spiritual being. You are one in the same. It's one in the same, right? Now, today I want to share with you my latest spiritual awakening story of when I went to see a shaman in Glastonbury last week and what happened. Because what happened really awoken the next level of consciousness for me, and I want to share with you this experience because remember that information puts your cells in formation, so you got to be careful of what you're tuning into. Are you tuning into everyone else or are you tuning into yourself? And my job is to help you to reawaken your soul so that you can follow the journey, the actual, real path that you came here to live, right? So before I get into that story, let me just remind you, if you already know, and share with you how I really got into the spiritual path in the first place. And it all started about 10 years ago when I was about 18, 19. And I actually went to my brother's house, who was always naturally a little bit gifted in spirituality, to be honest. He always would give me little seeds and downloads. But remember, spirituality is something that you have to maintain. It's not like, oh, I'm awake now, so that's it. No, it's just like everything in this world. You got to maintain your body through what you're eating. You got to exercise your muscles if you want to keep them strong, and you've got to look after your brain if you want to keep that going. If you want to keep your intuition pumping and the downloads coming through from the source, you got to meditate. You got to follow your calling, right? And the first awakening experience I had was actually on psychedelics. I smoked some weed with my brother and he put Joe Rogan on and lit some incense and everything, and something just awoken in me and I was like, oh my god, I know nothing, and the world is nothing like what I thought it was, right? And I sort of had a little bit of a glimpse of awakening in that moment, and it sort of shut down a little bit, but I was still following my calling, and I was like, what's going on? I was following this intuition, I was following the signs, right? I even started buying crystals and meditating and stuff, and I was facing my fears. I was trying new things. I wasn't just gonna live the life that I was told to live anymore. And skip a few years down the line, it started to get more powerful and more powerful, and now here I am, I'm making videos helping people to reawaken their own inner shaman, for Jesus sakes, right? And now, lately, right, last week, the last few weeks, months even, I've been feeling a urge to maybe work with plant medicine again. Maybe I need to smoke some weed or something. I just had this same urge come up from when I was working with these plants like 5-10 years ago, and I thought to myself, well, what is this feeling? What is this feeling? I didn't actually smoke any weed. I haven't done any psychedelics in a long time, but this calling came up and I started speaking my truth. And when you speak your truth and you face your fears and you start speaking about these things and you're vulnerable, then you start to activate new magnetics in your life, because there is an underlying magnetic streams all around you. And what one are you tuning into? That's why on the news, the dark side of the force, right, who actually puppet the news, they're always trying to distract you and they're trying to pull you into new streams so that you live the life they want you to live as a slave within the matrix. Now, I started following this calling, right? I started facing my fears, and what happened was I was led to Glastonbury. Glastonbury, for those of you that don't know, is one of the chakra centers, the energy centers of planet Earth. And many spiritual people are actually drawn there. I know Eckhart Tolle, he actually lived there for like 3 years, and the shaman that I actually went to see, he's actually been on Russell Brand's podcast. Kestrel, his name is. You can see it on Spotify, and I think it's called The Call of the Shaman. He's actually done healing work with Russell Brand, and he also sees Neil Haig every single year. He's been doing shamanism and working in Glastonbury, healing people for like 30 years. Personally, I've seen many fake shamans, charlatans, and if you want to hear a story of me seeing a fake shaman, let me know in the comment section below. Maybe we'll do a video on that. Now, I was sort of a bit skeptical because of my past experiences with shamans, but I thought I'm going to go with it anyway because we've actually seen this shaman a couple of times, but I didn't personally see him. It was actually my partner. And when I went there last time to drop Jade off, I actually only saw the shaman for like a minute, and we conversed a little bit, and he actually told us that he's actually a seer. That's his gift. He can look at you and see things in your sort of spirit form. He can see things that most people overlook, and he can tell you things that maybe your higher self needs to know, you need to hear. And you know, you can be skeptical of this or you can believe it. It's up to you. But I went into it a little bit like skeptical at first, but then he said, Sam, with you, I can see that your dad left you when you was young, didn't he? And he was actually right. And he said, what this done to your soul is that a part of your soul fractured off, and you would benefit from some soul retrieval. And I went away and thought about it, and recently when I've been getting these sort of cravings, these urges to really have some sort of spiritual ceremony and awakening process, I was reminded from the clouds, or whatever you want to call it, I got a download, a vision that I need to go and see this shaman. And so because of this impression I got, I thought, alright, let's go and see him and see what he says, see what he can do. So we faced our fears and we got in the car and we drove all the way to Glastonbury. It was about a 5-hour journey, and we went in and we saw the shaman. And we all saw the shaman, actually. There was 4 of us that went on the trip. And when I actually went in to see the shaman, I spoke to him for a little while. I told him, you know, what's going on, any sort of blockages that I had, and how, you know, the main sort of points in my life, the major points, the major things that I've been through in my life. And he said, alright Sam, lay down. And to be honest, it doesn't really matter anyway, because he's a seer, right? He can see what I'm saying, and he can see if I'm lying, he can see if I'm telling the truth, so it doesn't really matter. Let's just sit down and get to it. So I laid down on his little bed thing, and first of all I was a little bit skeptical just because of the way he was speaking. When I laid down, he was just saying things like, and take a nice deep breath and give recognition for your soul that has brought you here today. And I've heard it all before, and it was a little bit like, I don't know what to expect now. I'm just gonna take a leap of faith and just go with this experience and see what happens. And I was really shocked. To my surprise, he started using his voice as an instrument to change the frequency within the room. His mouth started to tune to a certain frequency, a little bit like a singing bowl. And it really showed me how powerful the human mind is, because he was really using mind over matter. Many people would have to play some sort of instrument to produce the sounds that he was creating with his mouth. And it was like he had an imaginary straw, and he was sucking out bad energy from my spirit form. And I could hear him do it, and because he was changing the frequency in the room, I was watching him with my inner eye. I was really blown away, actually, and it really restored my faith in humanity. It restored my faith in spirituality. It restored my faith in how powerful the human mind really is, because he was changing the frequency of the room with the tools that he had at his disposal, but also his gifts that he'd obviously worked on for a long time, and they really were powerful. You know, many people are very skeptical of a shaman standing next to them and saying they can pull out astral parasites and they can retrieve parts of your soul and stuff like that. And rightly so, they should be skeptical, because there are many fake shamans out there. But if you really work on these gifts, it really showed me that, wow, we can become super powerful. And it was what's really beautiful about this experience was just how humble this guy was. You wouldn't have known he was a shaman. I mean, he dresses a little bit like a hippie, to be fair, but he was very humble, a very sort of normal guy. But when he goes to work, wow, does he actually go to work and he actually changes things. No wonder people like Russell Brand, Neil Haig and Eckhart Tolle end up in Glastonbury and end up even working with this guy. And it was the same sort of feeling as what I got from psychedelics. I got this sort of inner knowing that maybe it is difficult to explain to other people, but a major download that I got from this experience, a wave of clarity about the human experience, was why there is so much confusion on this planet. And that's because everyone has been so absorbed into the 5 sense version of reality. They only believe what they can see and what they can decode with their 5 senses, when in reality there is so much more going on than what we're decoding. For example, visible light, what you see with your eyes, is only 0.005% of the electromagnetic spectrum, and the electromagnetic spectrum is only a tiny fraction of what's out there in the universe. So humans are basically blind. You can't hear a dog whistle, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. We've been so programmed into such a simple way of viewing reality, and even through the Darwinian theory and through religion, it's all based in belief and believing other people's stories and stuff like that. But what true shamanism is all about is, it's not about belief, because belief breeds confusion and everyone's like, well, that's what you believe and that's what you believe, and these stupid conversations people have about their beliefs. There's a reason why the word belief has the word lie in it, because you're being a lie if you believe something. Because I know from my own experience that true shamanic experiences can really awaken the inner knowing, the beautiful word gnosis, which means your innate knowing. And it's not until you remove your programming and you actually tap into natural reality, which is beyond our 5 senses. We are filled with many more senses. Some people say we've got like 360 senses, maybe more, who knows. But the point is, you don't need to know numbers and all these things, you just need to tap into it. And we have so many tools at our disposal to change the frequency. Like Nikola Tesla said, if you want to understand the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency and vibration. He was actually murdered for creating free energy, right? They don't want that. They want you relying on the matrix, when we are capable of mind over matter. We are the original technology, but they want us relying on external technology. They want to dumb us down through, the Wi-Fi fields and these cell towers, through Netflix and through bad diets. But when we actually tap into the foods we should be eating, and we spend more time in nature, and we start following our inner calling, facing our fears, and actually go on that path of real spiritual growth, of really just being a normal human being that's not been programmed and has not been born into a cult, because the word cult is culture, right? You've been born into a cult. Many people say, Sam, are you a cult leader? Well, you're already in a cult. You might as well join one that's actually trying to help you be a better person and actually realize the life that you actually came here to live. And so don't breed confusion through belief. Follow your inner calling and you will inevitably find your inner knowing, and things will start to make sense. But many people get halted on their journey. Why? Because of fear of the future, fear of things that to come. And one of these fears is, well, what about my pension? Right, that's also a fear of the future. Right, so it stops people making the choices that they should be making right now. So therefore they are operating fate, right? Autopilot, just whatever's programmed into them. It's not until you start creating your life from a conscious standpoint, making conscious actions, conscious choices, that you start to change the stream of flow that you're on. And now the future starts to make sense because you're now empowered, and the future is whatever you create it to be as a creative being on this planet. And because of the programming that we've been through since we were born, because of the trauma that everyone's been through on this planet, because even as soon as you're born they put death spears into you, and they even circumcise people when they're really young. A lot of this is trauma based, so that your mind can basically be controlled more easily. And this is why a lot of us feel really lost in life. And it's because our soul has been so fractured that there's a bit over there, there's a bit over there. And right now it's all about really soul retrieval and coming into a space where and you get your power back. It's all about getting your power back right now. And that is exactly what will happen when you follow your spiritual path. Now, my friends, I've just uploaded a new video to my Patreon, Keys to the Kingdom, where I'm talking about the energy that is coming through right now. The new frequency is shamanic, and I help people create a purpose-based business. But now we're upgrading it to shamanic-based business. So if you're interested in seeing that video, it's over half an hour long. It's sort of an energy update to help align you to the new frequency that's coming through, the new earth and the harvest and the whole great reset. It's all about that. So if you're interested in seeing that, please check out my Patreon page. It is via the link in the description box. I also do one-to-one sessions, and I also do reprogramming of the subconscious mind. All my services and things that you can download are in the link in the description box below. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to like, subscribe and all that good stuff. Let me know if you've had any experiences with a shaman in the comment section below. What energy are you feeling that's going on right now? Let me know. And thank you so much for watching. Until next time, peace and love, my friends.